culture and tradition, and so is silk. But what is really unique about the raw silk is that if you have a structure made, for example, out of bamboo, hand woven bamboo, and you create a natural cover with the silkworms over your bamboo, then you have what is for me the most healthiest environment you could ever imagine. Because raw silk was originally desired by the high society because it over years became very evident that if you have an environment of raw silk, then there's no fungus, there's no bacteria, there's no virus. So you have an environment where you want your children to sleep in and grow up in. And I have 6 children, and my youngest is 7 months. So we created a new crib. And the crib is a crib made out of bamboo with a beautiful silk cover. In the end, you have to see it to imagine what an incredible product.
Houses cost, because we know that if you want to create huge business opportunity, the costs have to be balanced for its price.
You know, silk has always been an exceptional product, and it never has been for the masses. And I don't think that we have to create a market that solely supplies to the masses. I'm interested in supplying for the moment to the 10-15% of the society that can afford it. But what is happening is that for every kilogram of silk, I have 80 kilograms of excrements from the caterpillars. That means that all of this is generating topsoil. And what we need to have long-term access to food is to generate topsoil. So it's not only that our baby's sleeping in a healthy environment, we're also generating a topsoil. Now, anything new that you do, anything that has not been done for many years, will cost more in the beginning, and it will remain a cultural product. But we know society is prepared for culture and tradition and to safeguard it. So I'm not worried about competing against the lowest possible cost. I'm interested in getting sufficient money rolling so that this becomes a viable business.
If we look at the smartphone, we know that Taiwan has a lot of technology company, and smartphone is really important for them because it has huge business opportunity. So in this smartphone, do you have any ideas that will have great innovation?
Well, we have done an awful lot with electronics. Myself, though, I'm not so worried about the electronics business. I don't even have a phone. So I'm a very unique person, but what we are doing is we're using smartphones to regulate pacemakers, and we derive energy from the phone in order to have a pacemaker function without a battery. Because the radiant frequency of your phone allows you to actually power your pacemaker. We have the first two pacemakers installed in dogs in Medtronic in the United States. So this is evolving. But my priorities goes on securing that we have a quality of life that is not determined by electronics only, that is determined by high quality of water, great quality of living, great quality of food. And I think we may not forget that the electronic world is one world, but if you don't have water, food, energy and housing and health, then all that electronics wouldn't be contributing an awful lot to your quality of life.
So from your view, what does a real innovation mean? And what's your suggestion for Taiwanese company?
You see, when you want to have breakthrough innovations, that's very different than when you just want to continuously improve a little bit. So I'm focusing on breakthrough innovations. I'm looking at changing the rules of the game. I'm not looking at playing along the rules of the game. Now, if you want to change the rules of the game, you got to be fundamentally different. You have to have something that is 10, 20, 50, 100 times better. And if you want to go through that kind of an innovation, then you have to wake up the child in you. You know, a child of 3, 4, 5 years old doesn't make any difference between fantasy and reality. Everything is reality. And what I'm faced up to too often, Taiwanese industry is very conservative in its innovations. It only wants to improve on what it has. It is not ready to leapfrog. And I think what we're in need of is that when you're in that cycle of always improving, there comes a point you have to leapfrog. And if you leapfrog, then you need to translate that fantasy into a reality. And then you need a science that maybe doesn't even exist. And these are the breakthroughs I'm after.
A lot of business leaders want to know the secret that can make our global economy keep prospering in the future, but it seems hard. So what's the problem of our global economy?
Our global economy has decided over the past 20, 30 years to pursue a very simple model. And the model we're pursuing is standardization, higher volume, and produce more of the same at lower costs. That's the logic we're following. Now, that logic has hit the wall. It is not possible to continue to produce more, always cheaper. And if you want to pursue that role, you will fail and your economy will stall. What we are in need of is not so much the supply chain management, outsourcing, the distribution centers with logistics, with all our innovations around it. What we're in desperate need of is to really think through how can we get 10 times more out of the resources that we have. We can stimulate the economy in a very different way. But condition number one is go for breakthroughs, disruptive technologies on the market, and ensure that you are first and foremost responding to the basic needs of everyone. Because if you respond to the basic needs of everyone, then everyone can participate in the market. And if you exclude 10, 20, 30% of the people from being part of the market, you're going to have a flat growth as we have today.
Thank you, Mr. Peng Li.